Welcome to the corner. My name is Danny Calafell. Come to you guys live every Monday, 5 p.m. Eastern, to talk to you guys about business, sales, and increasing income. Got a lot of things that I like to drop, and just really to help you guys out. Whether you're a business owner, you're in sales, you're looking to find ways to increase your income. This is what I like to throw out there to really help you guys get in position to be where it is that you actually have the potential to be at. I'm a very, very big, strong believer that, people aren't hitting their potential. You got a lot of people out there that they get to a certain position and they flatten out and they don't keep growing. And, that's where that danger zone is. Because if you're not growing, you're falling. There's no middle ground. And I think we all learned that lesson when COVID hit and throughout other recessions and other things that happen, people end up realizing that you flat lines always drop, I like to always say. So if you don't know who I am, let me give a little quick backstory. I started my career as a pro athlete. I boxed for 18 years professionally and, led me to create a lot of great relationships with a lot of good people. Very successful people, celebrities, and very successful business people. I've been around billionaires on down. And like I said, I like to come on and just throw out tons of info to help you guys. I call myself a filter, you could say. So, a lot of the stuff from, that I learned from others and, on top of the things that I like to throw on top as well, to really get you guys to where it is that you need to be at. If for you guys that are on right now, just go ahead and like, post, share, comment below, and we're gonna get this thing rolling. So today I want to talk to you guys about 2 ways that you guys can hit your first million. Now, as far as I'm concerned, millionaire is the new middle class. Okay, I know that look, when I was younger, I used to think $30,000 was a lot of money. I used to think $50,000 was a lot of money. I used to think $100,000 was a lot of money until I started hitting those numbers. And as I continued to grow, I started getting a better understanding and a better idea of money. It's the one thing that we're not really taught in schools when we're growing up, which is the most important thing, which is finance. We're taught all the other things. We're told all the other things that we're told growing up, go to school, work hard, get a good job, and that's going to get you where it is that you want to be at. And then we come to find out when we go to school, we get a good job, that it's still not enough. I'm going to throw some stats out here, which I always like to do. Okay. Stats are 78% of the U.S. population live check to check. That's almost 80% of the population in the United States live paycheck to paycheck. And you have over 322 million people in the United States. So that's almost 80%. All right. That's the number that a lot of people are fall in that category. And then the number just continues to shrink down. I mean, the higher the income bracket goes, but it doesn't necessarily mean just because you're a 1%er, you could say, which I think a lot of people even have a false narrative as far as what a 1%er is. Okay, the 1%, they're making between $400,000 to $600,000 a year. Okay, that's the 1%. Now, you take off taxes because you're already going to have to give money to Uncle Sam. So that takes 40%. Now you're left with the rest based off of, your lifestyle, the type of expenses that you have, things that you want to do, your way of life. Because I always tell people when the money increases, it's very easy to get and fall victim and get trapped into wanting to live nicer, wanting to spend money on nice things, wanting to, increase your status, you could say, right? And then now you're having to pay for all those things that you want. And if you're on an income and you're in an income bracket where there's not really any room for you to be able to grow, that's where people end up falling victim to, again, that percentage, where now they're having to struggle. I mean, I listen, I know millionaires that are worse off than people that are making $40,000 a year. Okay, it's just it, and it sounds crazy, but it's the truth. All right, so like, you know, this, what I'm going to go over with you guys today is just to get you to hit the first. Like after that, you got to continuously keep growing up. Like that should be your game plan. The game plan should not be, hey, listen, I made $1 million. Everything's great. I got news for you. So let's get right into it. Every single person will hit $1 million in their lifetime. Every single person. You make 100 grand a year, you do it in 10 years. You make 50 grand a year, you do it in 20. Okay. You make, I mean, you know, you could make 500,000 and you do it in 2 years. Okay. But everybody's going to get, you know, all you got to do is do the math. And this is the first rule that this is the first lesson we always talk about when we talk about building blocks. Okay. This is the first lesson we talk about is doing the math. If you want, whatever it is, whatever number you want to hit, that's why when I hear people talk about outrageous numbers, which a lot of times people come up with outrageous numbers. Listen, I'm the number one, like, cheerleader for people. If they tell me, hey, listen, I want to hit $1 billion. Hey, listen, go for it. But you gotta know the math. You gotta know what it is you need to do in order to get there. Because if you don't, that's where you end up getting trapped. That's where you end up getting stuck. That's where you end up falling short and retracting and getting scared and running. Because people are afraid. People are afraid. Confidence drops when you're not used to doing something repeatedly and you don't know how to do it. That's when the confidence drops. That's when the fear increases. My fear decreases the more I do something, and the more I know, the more that I do that, it's going to result in X, Y, and Z. My confidence will grow. My confidence starts to pick up. You know, your first time doing something, whether it's riding a bike or whatever the case is, when you do something for the first time, it's scary. But then after you do it for a while, you start overcoming that fear. And then you start being able to predict what more or less could happen. So your confidence starts to grow. But the problem when it comes to, you know, people that are looking to take risks in their job, take risks in business, you know, again, if you're in sales, like the problem with that is you guys are afraid because you guys don't know what's ahead. And you don't know what's ahead because you're not thinking that far ahead. Like, that's why I was talking, you got to do the math. So it's like, if you want to hit $1 million, what do you need to do? If you're selling something, how much of the product do you need to sell? Okay, that I'm not talking about $1 million in sales. I'm talking about $1 million in profits. So just because you did $1 million in sales doesn't mean that you made $1 million in profit, $1 million in your pocket. That wasn't your net. That was just your sales. That was your revenue. So you guys need to start doing the math. Hey, listen, how many people do I need to sell to? At what price? Okay. And based off of that price, how much am I going to make on that? So if I got a, let's do the math for a second. So if I got a, let's say I got a $200 product. Okay. I want to make $1 million selling a $200 product. So again, you just got to do the math, right? So if I'm doing at $200 per product, my sales, I need to sell 5,000 of the $200 products. And I just made $1 million. Now, if I want to increase that and I want to put it up to 400, let's say, okay, that's 2,500. 1,000. You got to keep doing the math, and you'll realize at what price point you want to sell at, to how many people you need to get that to how much it is that you're going to make. Now here's the thing. What do I need to do in order to hit those sales, in order to hit those numbers? What information do I need to know? I was just talking to salespeople. I was just talking to business people. What happens if you're stuck at a job? You're working a 9 to 5. And you want to do these numbers. Again, you have to do the math. Okay, if I'm making $30,000 a year at the job, Okay. What skill set? A lot of you guys don't ask these questions when you guys get jobs. This is a problem. A lot of you guys go for the job because you're looking at, hey, listen, I just need to make some money so I could pay my bills. Like 3 out of 4 millionaires work for somebody else. I don't think you guys understand that. I hate hearing people say, hey, you got to be an entrepreneur in order to stop working for other people, because if you work for other people, you're making them rich and you're not making any money for yourself. That's the biggest misconception. That's the biggest lie that I hear. And a lot of it comes from people that don't know what the hell they're talking about. And you guys are listening to these people. These people don't know nothing about what they're talking. They're telling you, oh, you got to be an entrepreneur in order to make $1 million, in order to make 10 million, in order to have the life that you want. That's not true. You have a lot of people out there that are having a life they want. They're working for somebody else. They're investing in the right things, and they're making money with less responsibility, having to put less hours in. Okay? And there's a lot of people who don't even want that responsibility. They'd rather just listen. You have people that invest in things because they don't want to do the things on their own. They don't want to go out. Like, you have people that invest in funds, like real estate funds and stuff like that, because they don't want to have to go and spend time, looking for deals, looking for the best deal here, looking for the best deal here. Is this right? Is that right? They'd rather just invest in something, put the money away, and just keep focusing on making more money. Like, it's all about what you want. Like, you have some people, like, they don't want to, they're making money, and they know that that the extra time that they have, they don't want to spend cleaning their house. They don't want to spend washing their car. They don't want to spend doing things like that. So what do? They pay somebody else to do it. It's not that they're at the point where they can afford to do that. They're just doing it because they understand the value of time. So they're trying to maximize their time so they can make the most out of it, so they can go out there and do what needs to be done so they can make more money. Okay, now if you're on a job and you're let's say your salary, right? You're at $45,000, $50,000 a year. Now, I just said if you're making $50,000 a year in 20 years, okay, you'll make $1 million. Okay, but again, you're not going to see that. All right, you would have made $1 million, but it doesn't mean you're going to see it because you have your expenses and everything like that. Right? So what do you need to do? This is the problem. This is going back to what I was just about to say when it comes to the wrong questions to ask at the job. You guys are not asking what qualifications or what skill sets you guys need to make more money. You guys are not having those hard conversations with the person that you work with, or the person you work for, or the boss, or whatever. You guys are not asking the question as far as, like, give me a breakdown of what it is that I need to learn, what it is I need to do, what can I do to add more value to the business so you can pay me more money. A lot of you guys are not having these conversations, and that's why you're stuck where you're at. And then a lot of you guys are afraid to have these conversations because you're afraid of what the other person is going to say. Oh, well, I don't know what they're going to say, so I'm not going to even bring that up. That's the wrong mindset to even have. Like, why should you be afraid to ask that kind of question and have that hard question? You're working for time here, and you're wasting time. Time is going by, and you're sitting here and you're working really hard for somebody, which is great. Like I said, that's a great thing, right? But you're not asking the questions to grow. So what ends up happening? We see this all the time with companies, and I talk about this a lot of times with business owners. We start to see a decline because now you guys are starting to go to work. And now you guys are getting unmotivated. You guys are getting tired. You guys are getting frustrated. You guys are getting irritated. All the problems in your life are now pouring into work, and you either end up quitting or getting fired. And then you go and bring that to the next job. Get excited, start getting all pumped up. You had a new job, new environment, new circumstance. If you're in sales, you're selling something new. And then what ends up happening? After a certain amount of time, it goes right back down again. And you guys are not able to figure out why that's happening. I'm going to tell you why it's happening. It's happening because you're not doing anything to increase your circumstance. And this is why we always talk about having big goals, having massive goals. Big goals and massive goals lead to that fuel that you need to keep going, to keep your momentum going. Because when you guys start settling for average, there's no motivation behind it. So you might have a little bit motivation. That's why, like, in the beginning of the year, these New Year's resolutions, like, that a lot of people have, it's crazy the way that that you guys come up with these things. Like, okay, I want to drop 15 pounds this year. That's not a big enough goal, and you know it. That's why you go to the gym for 3 months and then you end up falling off. You know, if that's a goal of yours, hey, you know, my goal is to make an extra, you know, to get a raise and get paid an extra $2 an hour. That's not going to do anything for you, and you know it. Your goal needs to be, like I said, to sit down with the owner and say, hey, listen, what do I need to do? Because you guys have to understand something. If you guys contribute to a business, the business starts creating more money. The money that it creates, it has more money to be able to pay you guys. And the people who think different don't know anything about business, because you guys are thinking, okay, well, if I make them more money, that's just going to put more money in their pocket. And that you guys have to understand something. Business owners are only as good as the employees that work for them, period. So like your whole mindset of like, oh, if I go to work and I get this company a ton of money and you know, I'm making them money and I'm not making anything. That's the wrong way to think, because you have to understand something. If you're making them more money, you become more valuable. The owner does not want to lose you. Your boss does not want to lose you, because now you've created a lot of value for yourself and for the business. And the fact that you created a lot of value for yourself and for the business, the boss is going to look at you and say, I don't want to lose this person. I need to pay them more money. I need to give them more hours. I need to increase their position. Hey, listen, forget about giving you a raise. Let me ask you, how would you like to have a management position in the company? Because you've proven yourself. This is why you guys see these people work from the bottom up. These guys work from the bottom up and they get in high positions. So you guys are scratching your head and you guys are like, how the hell did they do that? I'm telling you how. They increased their skill set. They did what was necessary. So you guys need to start figuring out like what it is that you want. Like, stop driving down the street and looking at cars that, you know, you can't afford right now and talking about, hey, you know, I'll get that one day. No, start putting that on your goals. Start putting that on your list, saying, hey, listen, I'm seeing this car that drives by. How can I get that? What do I need to do to get there? I'm working at the job right now. There's other people that are making more money. They're making $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 a year. How the hell are they doing that? What do I need to do in order to be able to be like them? What value do I need to bring? Instead of looking at it like, oh, you know, they got lucky, or they're in a position, you know, and they just got in good with the owner. No, it doesn't work like that. They're creating value. You guys got to start asking the right questions. Salespeople, you guys need to start doing the math, because you guys are the drivers for the organization. You guys start bringing in higher numbers. Your boss is going to be able to give you a lot more than what it is that you're asking for. He's be able to build the company up. Now you got a lot. Now you have a lot more when you get on the phone or when you're knocking on doors or whatever it is you're doing to get some business. Now you have a lot more momentum behind you, because now the boss is like, or your boss and the company, now they have the money to be putting into, you know, advertising and stuff like that to grow the name, grow the brand. And now you're out there and now you're representing something that is like, hey, you know, this is why. Oh yeah, I heard about that. I see the ad over here. I see that. I see that. I see this. I see that. You guys need to start getting with the program with things like that. And if you're in sales, you guys should start getting on programs, okay, again, to increase your skill set, because there's a reason why you're not hitting those numbers, because your skill set's low. And I say this all the time. You only know what you know. So if you're making the same amount of money you made last year and the year before that and the year before that, something's wrong. I come across companies a lot of times. So many times I can't even count. Okay. I've been manager or one of the top sales guys. I've been doing this for 15 years. Yeah. How much are you making? 100 grand. Okay. How long you been doing that? For the last 5 years? That's a problem. That's a big problem. You know, and if you're in a company where you're capped out and that's all you can make, again, that's a problem. You need to sit down, have a conversation. If you can't have that conversation, man, it's time to find something else. You've already proven yourself where you're at. You've already established that you can hit that number. Now it's time to start challenging yourself and doing bigger and going bigger and doing more. So like first thing, you got to know the numbers. You got to do the math. We call it $1 million math. Okay. What is it I want to make $1 million. What is it I need to do? If I'm in sales, how much do I need to sell? If I'm a business owner, I'm a solopreneur, how much do I need to sell? What my revenue needs to be? Okay. If I'm an employee, what company do I need to work for that's going to be able to put me in position? And what other things can I start putting aside money for so I could start growing something? You could say I don't want to get into the on the finance side, right? But because we have like a whole finance segment on this, when you know, personal wealth and personal wealth creation and all of that. But what you want to do is, like I said, you want to put some stuff aside so that way you can start investing in the right things, so you can start growing your income on top of whatever it is that you're doing. Which, like I said, three out of the 4 millionaires that I mentioned, 3 out of 4 millionaires work for somebody else, and that's how they do that. So, you guys have any questions? Go ahead and drop it in the comments. Like I said, like, post, share, comment below, and I'm gonna start bringing people up. You guys, hold on.
By the right people, and getting into that frame of mind where, you know, it's you're success driven, you've got goals, you know where you want to go, and it's super important that you know your numbers. How do you hit $1 million if you don't know what your price points are, how many of those widgets or gadgets you need to sell in order to hit those numbers? It's so easy to make money, but it's hard to keep it. So I love the subject matter. Love where you're heading.
100%. Anybody want to mic and I don't know who we have in the room, but
yeah, Danny, what you're saying is exactly true. I mean, to carry on also what Edna's saying and having that mindset, I know that's why it's really important with having like a 10x planner, because if you don't have your goals on your mind, they're not going to ever come true. You know, you need to have that daily reminder of what goal it is that you want, have it written down. You know, Bruce Lee has like an interesting quote, and he talks about, you know, only speaking positive to yourself. Words have energy that casts spells. That's why they call it spelling. So if you think of, you know, the modern day wand is the pencil, you know, and as you are writing down your goals, you're casting your spells and spelling out what it is you want to project into the universe. And if you don't have that, you're going to get what other people want to project onto you. And so I think it's really good. Grant Cardone has a good planner. I'm sure there's other planners out there, but even if you don't, write down your goals, have it on the forethought of your mind. That's why a lot of successful people talk about, that's the first thing that they see in the morning and the first thing that they go to bed seeing. And so you're working on your subconscious mind while you're always on. You might be sleeping, but your subconscious is always going. And so why not have that free employee working to coming up with some ideas on how to accomplish your goals that you want to create for yourself?
100%. And see, here's the thing, right? So like, and I hear this so many times. People are like talking about, you know, 6-figure businesses and all this stuff, and you guys gotta like you're you guys are working your ass off, you know, to make nothing. If you have a 6-figure company, like, you're not doing much because you can't keep much. Like you're you know, I mean, you guys should not be listening to information if people are telling you, hey, listen, I'm going to help you make a 6-figure business. That's not the goal. The goal needs to be, how can I hit a couple of million? And if they can't teach you that, you need to go to people who can. Because, I mean, you know, that's how you can build something up. Because I can tell you something right now. You got a 6-figure business. You're not making the money that you're selling. That's not, you're confusing revenue with income, with net and gross. You're confusing the two. You're confusing the profit and your gross revenue. And those are things you cannot mix up. You have to understand. That's why I said you got to do the numbers. You guys need to understand that, you know, what you sell is going to equate to what your overhead is, what your expenses are, and then you're going to be left with the rest. And I can guarantee you, if you have a six-figure business, you're making anywhere between $40,000 to $60,000 a year. I could do the math roughly and tell you that right now. You're doing between $40,000 to $60,000 a year. Now, I guarantee you, every single person that's either watching this or listening in can go out and get a job and make more than $60,000 a year with less of a headache, less hours, less stress, and less responsibility. And you guys are able to go out there and make more money doing that by just lifting up your skill set, going to the right company, going to companies that could actually pay you that much. Every single person could do that. Like, the purpose of starting a business is not to do six figures. The purpose of starting a business is to do things that you cannot do working for somebody else. That's the purpose of starting a business. Why? Because there's 32.5 million small businesses in the United States. Do you know what that means? That means that majority of the U.S. is taken up by small and medium-sized businesses, not the large companies that everybody talks so great about. The large companies, they take up a lot of the jobs that are out there. But the smaller businesses are the ones that fuel this country. Small and medium-sized businesses. Because if you guys look at the numbers, you guys would be very surprised. Like I said, I believe there's only about 2,000, if I'm not mistaken, 2,000 larger companies in the United States. The rest are all taken up, like I said, 32.5 million. Now, listen to this. Out of the 32.5 million, 25 million or 26 million have one employee. That means one person is working for the business, which is the business owner. Now, this goes to another stat. 54% of businesses in the U.S., 54 businesses, not small, businesses, 54% make less than $40,000 a year. Which brings me to exactly the stat that this stat that I just threw out there brings me exactly to the point that I was making. Majority of companies that you guys see out there that are doing six figures, they're making less than $40,000 a year. So those are the six-figure businesses that everybody's talking so great about. You guys have the potential to be able to do more. But you guys need to start listening to the right information. You guys need to start surrounding yourself around the right people, getting access to the right information and being around the right people. You guys can do those numbers. We do it for companies all the time, let me tell you. Okay? We do it in a very, very, very short time frame. I'm talking about 12 months. And in some cases less. Actually, in a lot of cases, less. We've done it. We've done that for companies in 90 days, literally. Okay. And it's just because they're getting hit with info that they've never heard, they've never seen. But then it's about doing the work. Like, you guys want to listen, I'm not saying that it's going to be easy. It takes work. Okay. It takes a lot of work. But with the right info, and I'm sure everybody could agree with me on this, with the right info and the right people, you guys will get there in a faster rate, not having to second guess yourself, not having to worry about, okay, well, how long this is going to take me, because you're already going to have that all planned out. You guys are going to have that all written down. You guys are already going to have that in your game plan. Listen, I want to do this in a year. How do I need to do this? What do I need to do in order to get there? Who do I need to communicate with? What do I need to learn? What skill set do I need to increase? What do I need to work on? You guys start doing that, things start building up for you. And the goal should not be right away if you're making $30,000 a year to hit $1 million. You guys need to start doing this in increments. I hear this ridiculousness. I want to make $1 billion. All right, well, let's start with $1 million first. Make $1 million first. Then start working your way up. You guys haven't broke 100 grand. Those of you that are employees, start focusing on trying to make your first 100 grand. Then from 100 grand, then go to 500,000 the following year. Then from 500,000, work on trying to get $1 million. And again, most likely you may not get that from a job. Okay? Unless you're in sales. Most likely you will not get that from a job. So focus on how much do I need to make from the job so I could put the right amount of money aside so I can invest in things that I need to invest in so I could work my way up to hit my goals, financial goals, okay, which lead into my personal goals. And a lot of you guys are not thinking about this stuff. Again, you guys are just going to work. You guys are going to work to sell. You guys are in business and you guys are just doing it, trying to make ends meet and trying to do the best you can. Get access to the right info. Get around the right people. Do the numbers. You do the numbers, things become a lot more clear. With clarity, you get there in a lot faster of a time frame. I'm all about speed. I don't want to hit my potential. Okay, and I don't want to hit the levels that I want to hit. I don't want to hit that when I'm 90, if I even live to be that long. I don't want to hit those numbers then. Not when I can't enjoy it. I want to do it in the fastest time frame. So what do? I get around the right people. I work on things that I need to work on from the right information. People that have already done it. People that have proven concepts. Things that already have been done. You guys look at every single thing out there. It's an example of what you guys can have. Every single thing out there that you see, success-wise, all these guys that are billionaires, they're just showing you what could be done. You guys are looking up at them and you guys, oh, that's amazing. It can happen. They did something that you don't know how to do yet. It's about getting access to that information. So you got to ask yourself, what did they do? How did they do it? Who did they need to speak with? Who did they need to meet with? What information did they need to grab? And what did they need to apply step by step so they could eventually get to where it is they're at today? Because every single one of those successful people that you see, maybe not every single one, but majority of them, they all started from nothing. And I could call them out. You got Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk. Okay? Two of the biggest guys out there. They started from nothing. They started in the basement. From nothing. So just think about these things. Again, you guys want to come up, ask questions, come on up, ask those questions. If you guys are in the chat, drop a comment below if you got a question. And we're going to get ready to wrap the live up, and then I'll beat you guys on here afterwards. But yeah, you guys got any questions, jump up.
So quick story to go with what Danny was saying about asking and increasing your skill set. There's kind of a celebrity rock star salesperson that 10 years ago I was way better than, but over the time, the consistency and the knowledge that guy has gotten, he's now superseded me like 100x, and he's probably a multi-millionaire. But that's what he did, is he increased his skill set. He works for another person, another employee, and he is most likely a multi-millionaire, but he increased his skill set. He didn't stay where I was. I'm probably at the same level as I was 10 years ago, which is still great. He superseded me by consistency, daily training, and just working hard, day after day. And now, he's probably multi-millionaire.
Yeah, a lot of these guys that you guys see out there, they're not like, some of these guys they're not geniuses and they've come up with all these crazy ideas. Some of them just came up with something basic and they just went out there and did the things that other people are not willing to do. And they ended up getting to where it is that they're at.
Danny, today I posted something to my sales team, and I said, masters are not chosen, they choose to be. They are students in disguise who never forget there's always more to learn from the unknown. Always be a student. Always be improving. Always be learning. That is such a valuable lesson. The minute you growing.
100%. 100%. So anybody else want to come up? And then if not, Edna, I'll wrap up the live and then I'll jump back on with you guys.
Perfect. Sounds like a plan.
Okay. All right, guys. So if you got if you got a question, drop it in the comments below. Like, post, share, comment. I'm getting ready to wrap this up. Tell me, listen, in the comments, tell me things that you like. Tell me things you didn't like. If you didn't like anything, tell me what you didn't like. And, again, I do this every Monday, 5 p.m. Eastern. You guys were in the corner. I'll see you guys next Monday. Have a great week and stay great.